Welcome to Innovate and Conversate, where we discuss the latest innovations and trends in the business world. I'm your host, Jana, and today we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic, which is digital transformation and why is it so important for our organizations to achieve success. With me today is Ms. Jessy Abraham. She's the CEO of Thrive, and I'm happy to have her with me today to discuss this interesting topic. Welcome, Jessy.
Thank you so much, Jana. Thank you for having me. I'm really thrilled to be part of this journey and, speak about digital transformation. It's a topic which is very close to my heart because I have seen how organizations have actually transformed when they have embraced, digital solutions.
Perfect. So to start off, could you maybe define what digital transformation is about and why is it so important for organizations to implement it to achieve success?
Sure. So when we talk about digital transformation, it is not limited to only using, say, for example, tools or software. But at the same time, when I talk about digital transformation, for me, it's all about how does an organization embrace technology, identify touch points where it can basically enhance either the customer experience or the people engagement or drive operational efficiency. So organizations who are basically able to kind of look at all aspects, how technology can enhance how they operate, for me that is what digital transformation is all about.
Great. And but we often hear that leaders today, they don't want to invest on digital transformation because they maybe consider it more of a cost rather than an investment. What would you say to those listeners today so that they can change their mindset?
I think it's very common, when, say, for example, leaders or business, business leaders for that matter, for them to think twice before they kind of, invest in digital transformation. It's also because they are probably thinking about the short term, investment rather than the long term value add. So if you ask me, in my experience, it's very common for them to think, how they are thinking. But at the same time, it's all about giving them the comfort and giving them the perspective to say how it is going to enhance the overall organizational, say, for example, vision or the strategy that they have, whether be it from a customer perspective or whether be it, based on their growth agenda, or it could also be from a people perspective, because as you know, today it's all about the millennials, right?
Yeah.
And they would want to walk into an organization that is tech savvy, who are very modern, who are very progressive, and at the same time it's important for them to feel connected to an organization that embraces technology.
Exactly.
So to answer your question in terms of what do what do leaders, how basically we can help them shift their mindset, is by sharing with them the long term gain, okay, into the future, and also how it will help build organizational capability. It's making the organization more modern, more progressive into the future, and that is one way of how you can kind of influence that with the senior leaders or the business leaders.
And maybe also like giving measurable values that they can look at.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the ROI is equally important, but sometimes what happens is that you can't immediately see the ROI. It's more of a long term,
Definitely.
but at the same time, you have to get started somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than being left behind, it's better to be on board and embrace it.
Exactly. So these small steps will definitely build up.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And let's say we want to look at the steps that leaders should take or organizations should take in general to accelerate this digital transformation journey. What would those steps look like?
I think number one would be to have a very clear vision in terms of your own organizational or your corporate aspirations. Where do you want to be in the future? Okay, once you have set very clear vision in terms of the digital transformation or the journey that you want to take, it's all about making sure that you're communicating that with the rest of the organization. Because one thing, Jana, what I have actually seen is, you might have the best of the best technology, you have invested millions, but then if you are not taking people on the journey, then it's like, it's a dead investment. you know very well even before you start that you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
So it's important that number one, have a very clear vision. Number two is communicate in terms of why. Why are we actually investing in digital transformation? What does it really mean from a customer's perspective, from an employee or people's perspective? What does it mean from an organizational perspective in terms of making sure that the organization is more progressive, forward thinking, and so on? And also, from one aspect from the people perspective is how will technology make people's life easier? Will it motivate them to come to work? Will it help them to have a work life balance? So thinking from all these factors will definitely help in terms of making the journey or making the start of journey much more easier.
Definitely. And let's say now that what you've mentioned, that digital transformation is definitely a necessity nowadays to thrive and for every organization. So what advice would you give to organizations who are looking into implementing and going onto this journey?
So I feel if organizations are, say, for example, hesitant to get started, and to be very honest, given the current situation where we are with AI, with Gen AI, it's like it's not giving choice to organizations to even think. It's like you better get on board.
Exactly.
So if you're not on board, then there's always that fear of that you're being left behind.
Exactly.
So the advice what I would give to organizations is if they feel reluctant, okay, in terms of investment or even in terms of the mindset, whether is this right for us, is it the right opportunity, I would say start small. Okay, so start small in a way where you create within the organization, I would say, identify change agents, okay, people who are tech savvy, people who are digital savvy, who are probably who have actually kept themselves abreast with really what is happening in the technology space, and use them as, say, for example, catalyst to get started.
Yeah.
Okay. And once you get started, it's all about identifying what are some of those touch points where you can start small, but you can also have a bigger impact. So that could be a good starting point for organizations who think they might not be ready as yet.
And let's say those who are reluctant to for this change, like a lot of people would say, no, it's a lot of work. I don't want to change my system. I don't want to implement. I want to be in my safe and comfort zone. How would you answer that?
I think probably they will continue doing what they're doing, but then the reality of the situation is they may not be able to do it for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. And what that really means is today people really want things to be much more simpler, smarter, efficient, and not only the people who are working in the organization, okay, but it's also the customer experience. So if you're not able to, say, for example, step up the game and do what is really important from a customer experience perspective, okay, then you will be left behind. So you have a choice whether you want to be comfortable where you are in the short term, or do you want to be recognized as, say, for example, a modern progressive organization, okay, creating value not only for the customers and the people, but also for your shareholders.
What's the risk of not doing anything?
The risk of not doing anything is probably, setting yourself up for failure. And I don't think it's like you have any choice as a business owner. Okay, the sooner you get on, the better.
Exactly.
And it's also the case of, I feel, see, change is not easy. Let's be real. Okay. Any kind of change does make people feel very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
whether be it business leaders or, people within the organization. I think that's the reason I said, starting small is something that they feel comfortable with. And once they kind of, know how it is basically adding value, is when they can, possibly spread the wings and adopt, more advanced
Yeah.
technology or digital solutions, okay, that will make them basically, stay as a sustainable organization.
Perfect. Jessy, this brings us to the end of our podcast. Thank you for your insights. It's been a really fascinating discussion.
Thank you so much, Jana, for having me. It has been my absolute pleasure. And thank you for inviting me for this session.
Thank you to our listeners for tuning in. We'd love to hear back from you on which topics you would like for us to discuss next. Until next time, stay innovative and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.